Yo, what's good, everybody? So, I know everybody's wondering, there's so many different camera systems. There's Canon, there's Sony, there's Blackmagic, there's Red. And there's so much debate on what's the best camera system. Well, I'm going to tell you after shooting for 13 years what I chose, okay? In this box, I got a new camera, okay? Got a kid in the camera, right? So let's go unbox this. I'm gonna show you what I got. All right, you probably know by the title of this video what I actually bought. I bought the FX3. It's the Sony camera, and I think it might be the best camera on the market right now, or else I wouldn't have spent all the money I did on it. All right, here it is. So first impression, this thing is nice. It's nice and dense. It feels like a real camera. And it's a lot smaller. You can see the fans in it. It's kind of crazy because I know that there's the Canon R5C. And the Canon R5C looks bulky. So if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the sides of it here, I'm like, the Canon R5C's got to be super bulky. I got the lens for it, which is the Sony 24-70 G Master 2. It's a 2.8. So I got the G Master lens because I wanted some range, because when I'm usually shooting vlog stuff, I need a wide lens and I need something zoomed in. If something's far away or when I get some detail shots, I need that versatility. And this thing's a 2.8, okay? So that's pretty good. You're not gonna get much faster than a 2.8 on a zoom lens. Everything feels really good on it. It's got a very tactile f-stop aperture adjustment. So for the past 1.5 years, I've been using a Canon. I've been using the Canon R7, and it's actually an APS-C camera, which means it has a crop sensor. Canon has a special place in my heart because I got into videography, cinema, film by shooting with a Canon T2i and then upgraded to the 5D Mark III, which was a revolutionary camera at the time. Shot a bunch of music videos, got all my success with that. So my overall thoughts on this camera was, it was a nice camera, but it lacked some features, and it really was just an intermediate camera for me to step up my production. So the form factor of the R7 was pretty awesome because it was relatively small and it was light. Some cameras that you get are dense, they're heavy, and once you add a big lens to them, it starts to wear the camera down. And I did compromise on it getting an APS-C sensor. It was actually $1,700 when I bought it new. And, you know, I didn't spend too much money, but it wasn't super cheap either. The small form factor was also good because I could take it into places and it was relatively small. So most people didn't give me too much of a hassle with it. The thing about it is that it used RF lenses. You know, I bought a $300 16mm lens. The reason why I bought this 16mm lens is because it was on a crop sensor. An APS-C sensor has a 1.6 times crop. That means that if you have a 16mm lens on the camera, when you attach it, it gives it a 1.7 times zoom in factor. So it's not true to the actual lens focal length. So you have to do some weird calculations. Things aren't what they seem on this camera because of the sensor. That's part of the reason why they're so much cheaper. And ultimately, I think that that affects the film quality and it affects the feel that you get when you shoot on these cameras. It also only had 10.5 stops of dynamic range, which just means that there was less information in the range between the shadows and the highlights. That was fine for just basic social media content, but if you really want to take it up another notch, you want to get a camera that has a lot of dynamic range. Okay, let's talk about why the FX3 is a good camera in my opinion. And I think mainly I like that it's a Netflix approved camera. And not only is it Netflix approved, it was used to shoot The Creator. Everybody's been talking about it, everybody knows it. It's a sci-fi movie, $80 million, but they shot the entire movie on 10 different FX3s with different setups for each of the cameras. Some shoulder rig, some gimbal, some drone. And they put together a blockbuster movie just using this camera. Professionals in the movie industry can get an $80 million budget and shoot a great movie on it, that opens up the playing field for anybody. So this camera, I can grow into it. So if I want to continue to evolve and shoot documentaries and different movies, I'll have a camera that I can use. And that's kind of the line that, you know, I can see open up for me. It's not just social media content. Yeah, that's nice, but you can do anything with this camera. Let's talk about this thing's form factor. As I said, this thing is pretty slim. For what it can do, for doing Hollywood stuff with this, it is super slim, man. I try to keep how much camera I have minimized. You know, I want a lot of power, I want a lot of options, but I don't want it to be too damn big. Now, I probably won't throw a cage on this because it has these mounting screws already built into it. So if you want to shoot vertically, you can pop this thing on its side using these quarter 20 mounts on the side of the camera. And let's be honest, this thing looks cool. Let's talk about sensor on the Sony FX3. It's got a full CMOS sensor. I think they call it CMOS. I'm not exactly sure. But it's got a 12 megapixel sensor. It's not got the most megapixels, but for what it does, it's a great sensor. I like the way it looks, and that's mainly why I got it. And this sensor gives you 15 stops of dynamic range. So you're gonna get a lot of highlights, you're gonna get a lot of darks, you're gonna get a lot of in between. It shoots 422 10-bit. So it's got a lot of data in the files that you can get. The sensor also will give me a true depiction of what I want to shoot. When I was shooting on a APS-C sensor, it wasn't true. So if I'm shooting on a 16 millimeter on a 1.6 crop, I'm getting like 25.6 millimeters. That's not a real image. Hey, I don't like APS-C sensors. I just don't like them. So Sony's have a lot of options for their glass. This still uses the E-mount like any other Sony cameras. If you're looking at the life of a camera, if you're looking to get into actually shooting, you want to think about like, what is the life of glass? You know what I mean? Like what glass options are there? If I'm going to keep investing in a camera system, if I want to keep shooting Sony, I need to buy a lens, and I can keep buying lenses and not have to worry about switching camera systems, selling all those lenses. And basically that's what I did before. Like I've had a certain type of camera with certain type of lens, and I've had to sell them, you know what I mean? To when I got a different camera system. When I ran the Sony A7S II, I actually had a Metabone speed booster adapter with the Canon 24-105 f4. And if you know anything about the Sony A7S II, that camera was, you know, it was really good at low light performance. So I could actually get away with a lot of things with an f4 because the camera was so versatile. And I actually loved the Sony A7S II. It just had a weird color science, which it's fine. I got around it for the time being, but I'm just really happy that the FX3's color science is amazing. You know, whatever comes out of the camera is what people usually see as stock, which makes sense. I was watching, I think The Colors from the Creator movie, and he was talking about how when people says different cameras have different looks, they don't really have different looks. That's what the stock look is, what he was saying is what it looks like. It's really just the look that you can create with the data capturing device, which is all this is. It's just a data capturing device. The colors, the data you get in this thing, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun, especially using like Dehancer. If you guys haven't heard of Dehancer, it's an amazing plugin for DaVinci, and I think it's also for like Final Cut and Premiere, but it really gives you a film look. So you can just take these log footages, plug in what kind of camera you're using, and get just amazing looking images quickly. And you can use the iPhone too. If you guys want to use the iPhone, you can use the iPhone too. Huge deal with this, and a lot of cameras on this price line are very similar, but they have dual ISO. The Sony FX3 has a dual ISO at 800 and 12-800. So if you're like outside at night when all you got is like the moonlight or you got some street lights, you're gonna have a pretty sick image. Like it's gonna be able to handle that. And I actually found myself in super low light scenarios, or if you're shooting out like behind the scenes, or you're inside somewhere, like you don't have any light besides the available light. I don't have time to rig out setup. So if you're gonna buy a camera, what's some things to consider? What production level are you gonna be at? Are you just shooting for social media? Are you actually gonna learn the systems? Do you wanna not spend that much money? You wanna spend less than $2,000 to get a camera system? Are you actually gonna produce stuff for other people? Do you want to do commercials? A lot of people just want like a cinematic look, and you can just do that with an iPhone. So most people just need to go get an iPhone. Don't even worry about camera systems. But for those of us that actually know how to use camera systems, know how to not only use a camera system, but plug it into social media and the business world to create content, create interest, funnel people to do things, which is the whole point of like cinema period, then you might want to think about getting a camera system. I've never regretted getting a camera system because camera's how I've made a lot of my money. If you guys like want to learn how to do things or how to, sell your business, your idea, create a following for yourself, then click the link in my bio. I got a mentorship program and services that can help you, get your voice out there. Thank you. And if you guys can, just like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to my channel, watch the videos, turn on the bell. I appreciate you guys. I really do. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.